All right, guys. Well, we got an exciting episode for you today. If you're one of our church members here at Faith, then you have already heard about this, but Nate is going to be joining our staff full time. And so that's our big announcement that I teased last week. If you don't know, for the last 4 years, Nate's been part time here at the church. So he's been doing, I don't know what, 15, 20, 25 hours a week here, and then 40 plus probably at
Yes.
the school.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about the school that you teach at.
So I teach at Westminster Academy. It's a classical Christian school. It's the only classical Christian school here in Memphis. And since I started 8 years ago, after I left full-time ministry, have been teaching juniors and seniors. And I teach rhetoric and then theology. So those are my two courses. And one of the distinct things about Westminster is they have a thesis program that their senior year, depending on, sometimes it's been 22. This year it's 39 seniors. Each pick a thesis, something arguable, relevant, and I basically help them do research, guide their argument, and then help them edit. And ultimately, they turn it into a 15 to 20-minute speech, and then our faculty asks them questions. So it's kind of like getting your master's or doctorate, where you have to defend it. So anyway, it's a lot of fun. I'm kind of like a proud father sitting out there watching these students do their work, and so it's been fun to do that.
So
teach them.
You've been here doing both things for 4 years. How long have you been at Westminster total?
8 years.
8 years.
8 years. I'll finish 8 years this May.
It's a long time.
It's been a long time.
Yeah.
So my children have been going there longer. I think since 2012 was when they started there. So
y'all have a long history.
There.
Yeah. So I want to talk about today sort of how we got here as a church, from my perspective, from yours, from the churches. So
yes.
Last Sunday, our elders voted unanimously to bring you on full time, which was an exciting day. It was a great thing. And our session was happy to do it. Like there's a lot of joy in that room.
Yes.
But I thought we'd talk about, I guess I can start. I'll own that I have been praying about this for probably, so I got here in July of 25. That was when I started. And probably by, I'll say September, I was starting to poke at this and pray about this. I realized pretty quick that your particular set of gifts matched up pretty well with what our church needed. You're a teacher. You've talked a little bit about that already, but you love kids. You've thought a lot about family discipleship. You've raised your own family in the church. And that's what our church needs, right? I mean, I can say as a parent of young kids, there is no shortage of information out there on how to raise your children in the Lord.
Yes.
And also there's no shortage of junk out there trying to pull your kids away. And so, I mean, Shannon, my wife, and I would say that it's hard sometimes to parse and to figure out what should we be doing, what should we not, what's noise, what's signal. So I think the families in our church need this. I think they would say that. So I realized this, and I broached the conversation with you a few times, and I'm going to say you stiff-armed me. That was the perception that I got. So why did you stiff-arm me?
Well, I think probably the biggest reason is I really love teaching, and I love the students and the daily, the 8 to 3 schedule is wonderful. It's been wonderful for my family and for my kids to be where they are during the day, to basically be done when they're done. And also just, I love the interaction, the daily interaction with students, because that's my classes. I do a little bit of lecturing, but most of my time with them, even in my junior classes, it's a lot of interaction. I'm asking lots of questions, lots of open-ended questions, and we're reading a lot of things out loud together. And so I love that. I mean, I'm not as much of a person who can just sit in my office and grind away at stuff for hours and hours and hours. I can do that, but I also love the interaction.
Yeah.
Um, so I think though, yeah, I was also, just haven't felt ready to go full time back into ministry. And sometimes I thought, well, maybe I'm not going to continue in ministry. But the
Mm,
Lord, ever since I left full time ministry, has provided
mm,
pulpit supply opportunities, or
mhm,
basically helping churches that don't have a pastor or need an extra pastor, as in the case of Faith for the community service. And the Lord just kept me in sort of a pastoral position. And as I thought, maybe someday I'll go back into that, maybe
mm,
when all the kids are out of the house or
mhm,
whatnot. But I've often thought if I do, I really want to work with someone who I get along with really well.
mm.
And I think I figured out pretty quickly after I stiff-armed you a little bit, um, yeah, that we have a lot of we have very similar
Mm,
likes, just in general. We also have similar vision for the church,
mhm.
and so I started to go, oh, think I could
Think
work
about that
with
a little
John full
bit.
time
Yeah,
and
yeah.
work with this wonderful church and
Mhm.
congregation that love each other so well.
Before we kind of go there, I think it might strike people as strange if they don't know a lot of pastors or haven't been in ministry. When you say in the past you've had thoughts about maybe I don't want to continue in ministry at all, or
Mm,
maybe not full time,
yeah.
dig into that a little bit. What's that about?
Yeah. So there's I mean, I think parishioners have a sense that there's a pretty high cost to being a pastor.
Mm,
You you're involved in people's lives, a
hmm,
lot of people's lives.
hmm,
A lot of people open up their difficulties and their
hmm,
challenges and their family and their extended family. Um, you abide with a lot of people who suffer.
hmm,
And so those things have an effect because there's a sense in which, and I think Paul talks about this as ministers of the gospel, we sort of take that on ourselves to some degree. And it's a pretty heavy burden to bear at times.
hmm,
And I, in my 13-year pastor job at another church here in town, I didn't handle that well at times.
hmm,
The stress got to me, and
hmm.
there was probably a sense I got burned out by it
Sure.
because I didn't do a good job of casting those cares
Mm,
onto Jesus, but sort of bore them in myself. And so there was a hesitancy, and it has an effect on the family too.
sure.
A pastor's life. It's not a clean. You don't just leave your work behind when you're a pastor. It's kind of always there,
Yes.
because our connection with Christ is always there, and so our connection with the body's there. But um, I would say, and the good part is I've learned a lot of um, just leaving things as they are and teaching. Just like I'm at the end of the day, it really
Uh-huh.
helped me to learn like let go of things. Um, it was kind of nice not to be responsible for
Mm,
or responsible to the children and the parents to the degree that you would be as a pastor,
right,
right? I
right.
mean, you have a lot of responsibility as our senior pastor, as a sense in which you're looking after all of us as a whole, and that's a big burden to bear. So um, yeah, I think on top of that, sometimes situations happen in the church that can be very hurtful.
Yes,
Um,
sure.
it hurts other members. Members hurt members. Sometimes members hurt pastors. And
Hmm.
I won't go into a lot of detail, but there were a few situations that happened,
Sure.
and it definitely sort of made us not want to jump back into it
Mm,
as we've thought about it.
hmm.
And part of that was just the dynamic of staff relationship as well.
Sure.
And so again, that goes back to
Hmm.
when you and I get along and have the same vision, and we're good friends.
Yeah, that's
I
right.
think I count you as a really good friend
Hmm.
now. I didn't have that before, and
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
that tells me that it's the kind of culture that we want in our
Mm,
church.
that's good.
That our pastors get along well,
Yes.
we get along with our session, you know,
Other
so
staff members too.
other staff
Yeah.
members
I
too,
mean, we're
right?
blessed to
Yeah,
have the rest of our staff is awesome too.
yes. To just have open, honest conversations, but also we generally love each other and
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and like to be together.
And
So
to be here. Like,
yes,
I think, I mean, I can say, obviously at the moment I'm here more day to day than you are, but
yes,
like nearly every day, I can't think of many exceptions, all of our staff comes into the church excited to be here,
Yeah, that's wonderful.
excited about their work.
Yeah.
The mood here is very good
That's
on
great.
a normal day.
That's great. And when I left the previous church, I didn't want to go in.
Right,
most
which is
days.
not a good thing, right?
And again, like 99% of that was just me and not
Sure.
handling things well. And so I think teaching has been really good.
Yes.
And helping me to understand my place. One of my favorite sayings when people at school ask me something like big picture or something, that I'm not responsible for, I look at them and I go, that's out of my pay grade.
That's right.
Right. I don't get paid for that.
Yes.
And I think the Lord was very kind to let me in a setting and environment like that learn how to not become over responsible.
Yes.
For situations, because that's not what they call me to do.
Yes.
So anyway.
But I think on that note, even for myself as the senior pastor, that's a phrase that I need to learn too. There are so many things that, sure, maybe I'm the senior pastor here, but there's a lot of stuff that's out of my pay grade too, right?
That's right.
And so I think we, as you used the phrase a minute ago, all of us more frequently could learn to cast our cares on the Lord.
Yes.
It doesn't mean that we just pass off all responsibility, but it means that at the end of the day,
right,
my stress and worry is not going to fix that.
No.
Or my meddling.
No, and that fits very well with Ecclesiastes, what you preached yesterday, and learning to entrust people and their difficult situations to the Lord. And I think one of the hardest things, as I said yesterday at communion, is for us as humans is sitting back and saying, I can't fix this situation. And that galls me to no end, because there is a part of us that we're made to problem solve. We're made to help situations, to build things, to create things. But there are certain things the Lord, it's just clearly said that's not in your power to change a heart or to alleviate suffering.
Or sometimes resolve conflict.
Yeah, resolve conflict. Yeah,
sometimes you just can't do it.
There's a great phrase by one of my teachers from seminary, Zach Eswine. He called it, there's inconsolable realities in this life. And sometimes I thought pastoral ministry was an inconsolable reality that I would never get back into it. But that's such a good term, because ultimately we are headed to Christ.
That's right.
Our fulfillment is in Christ. That's and He's the one who's going to wipe away our tears. He's the one who's going to banish death, is going to make things new. And so He's our consolation, not fully now, because there's still brokenness. Yes. There's still horrible things happening. And even, I've, in the last 2 weeks at our school, we've lost a dad of 3 daughters, 9th, 7th, and 6th grade just died like that. And then an 8th grader's mom died of lung cancer last night.
There's no consolation.
And yeah, I mean, it's, you can say everything, you can be there for them, and you can offer comfort, but ultimately the Lord will be the one who comforts us in our losses. And so those perspectives, I guess, ought to kind of bring it back around. Those perspectives, and really digging into that over the last 8 years, and just kind of being open. I would say, Emily and I both have always been open to going back into ministry, which is a blessing. Have sort of helped me go, well, maybe I'll jump back in.
So you, to bring it back into our story, you stiff-armed me for a while. I think I brought it up once or twice, and you just kind of said, maybe I would think about it in the future.
Yeah.
And so my personal hope, this was my read on the situation, your oldest daughter, Amelia, will be a senior next year at your school where you teach.
Yes.
And so I thought, okay, maybe in the summer of 2027, you would consider it. That was kind of what I was aiming for.
Yes.
But then, if my memory serves me right, on the first Sunday in January of this year, you came into my office. We usually pray together before church. And you said, hey, I've got something to put on your radar. And this might tell you something about my temperament. I thought, oh, no. Like, what is he about to say?
Yeah.
And you said, no. It's good. I thought, okay, we'll see.
Yeah.
And then you said, I've got to turn in my teaching contract here
Mhm.
soon.
Mhm.
And I don't know many teachers, and so I had no idea what that meant.
Yeah.
Can you sort of explain what that means?
Yeah. So every February or January, we get our renewal form. Basically, say I intend to teach here next
Okay.
year, and or I don't intend to teach here, or I would like to continue teaching here, but I want to make these changes. And for some reason, over Christmas break, we go to Texas to spend time with family. It's kind of been a tradition. The Lord really put it on my heart that this may be the time, if He works it out in the next few weeks, for me to transition. And so I talked to you, let you know I'm very interested in
Hmm.
coming full time. I
Hmm.
think this is a good time and not waiting another year.
Hmm.
Um, and to my surprise, Emily was also like, "Yes, I'm really excited. Let's do that." And so I did. I put on there, I'm not going to come back, and
Hmm.
there's a little bit of faith involved because I needed to tell them, but I hadn't. We hadn't told the session, and we hadn't told the church.
Yeah.
So in doing that, I was kind of like, okay, I'm out of a job now.
Whatever happens.
And
Yeah.
so, Lord willing, but I did tell everybody at the school, I was like, Lord willing, I'm
Yeah.
going to go on
Yeah.
full time, but it's still up in the air. So that was a bit of faith on my part,
Yes.
to make that move. But I was confident that the Lord would provide. I mean, He always has. I've
Yes.
lived, be 50 this summer in July, and like the psalmist says, I've never, my kids have not been begging for food. The Lord has provided for everything, wonderfully. So,
Zoom in a little bit on, you said as you're in Texas, the Lord just put it on your heart that this was the time. Okay.
hmm
I know sometimes, I mean, even as I reflect on my own transition here, there are things that I can rationally point to and sort of explain to others, here's what the Lord was showing me in that time. But I know it can be hard
yeah,
too. There's some things
yeah,
about it that are hard to put into words, but
yes.
do your best. Tell us, what was he showing you? What were you thinking
hmm
about? What was Emily thinking about that made you guys go from, I'm going to keep stiff arming John about
Yeah,
this,
yeah,
to you walk into my office and say, hey,
yes.
we really would like to do this?
Yeah, so I would say, from a pastor's perspective, I have seen since you've come, and I would say even before, sort of as the latter part of the transition, beginning probably May last year, really seen the ordinary means of grace working
Mm.
in the church.
What are those, if people don't know?
So, preaching,
Okay.
sacraments,
Yep. So baptism, the
um,
Lord's Supper,
prayer,
prayer.
and Bible study, which are things that, sort of as I was helping Greg and the session, we were all transitioning from his ministry to whoever was coming next. We were sort of like, okay, we need to make sure all of these things continue.
Mm.
And I got to be involved in that and help in that in different ways. And I saw, um, and then you came, and we just kind of kept doing the means of grace, those things. And the Lord really brought a harvest. I mean, it
Mm.
wasn't huge, but I mean, it's more than I've seen in a long time. And that was really exciting. I was like, wow, this is what the Lord called us to do, and He's blessing it. And I,
Mm.
I was really excited to be a part of that. And I just thought, man, it's just been growing on me of, I'd love to be involved in a church where we just really focus on doing what God says to do, and seeing Him bless
Mm.
that. And just seeing uh, young men who grew up in the
Mm-hmm.
church, and weren't in the church, but then come back,
Hmm.
and seeing children get baptized, seeing folks come into our church and say, this I think this is our home.
Yes. And
So
not just transfer growth and things like that. Although that's, there's a place for that. I
sure,
get that.
sure,
But we also saw, I mean, we sat in this office with our elders, and I mean, we heard real
hmm
stories of God grabbing a
yes,
hold of people and
yes,
changing their
yes,
lives.
yes,
And I can remember sitting with you several times, and we sort of had this perception, and like I guess it was in the fall of 25, where we were kind of amazed that, okay,
Yes.
we're doing, there's nothing fancy
I
here. We're
know.
preaching the gospel,
Yes.
administering the sacraments,
Yes.
praying, doing Bible study,
Yeah.
and God is just, He's doing all this
Yes.
stuff.
Yes.
And I
Yeah.
remember you said at one point that this is the kind of thing that pastors pray and long for their entire ministry, and it's actually
Mm-hmm.
happening.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt the same way.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so what you're saying is, as we sort of went through that in the fall, that was beginning to make things turn in your mind and in your
Yes.
soul about,
Yes.
okay,
Yeah.
maybe that's the kind of thing I want to be involved
Yes.
in.
Yes. And just so very practically, and this may bore everybody, but um, doing two jobs, one of them part time and one of them full
Hmm.
time, was pretty exhausting.
Yes.
And getting older, and my children, three of them are now out of the house, two in college, one is a highway patrolman. Um, I just kind of started to think, man, I'd like to have a little more
Hmm.
time, have
Yes.
opportunity to be available for them. And school schedule is going to end in about 6 years for all my children. Amelia's probably going to go to college, and so again, it just really lined up, and the church seemed like a great place to work full time, and I'm delighted to focus on one thing.
Hmm. Yeah,
So
it's hard to be pulled
it
in different
is, it
directions.
is, yeah.
And my guess is too, over the last 6 months, because of what God is doing in our church,
Mm.
that this side of your load has increased
Hmm.
substantially.
Yeah, yeah,
It's There's just a lot to do.
there
There's a
is.
lot of work to
Yeah,
go around,
there
and
is.
it's good work,
It
but
is.
it's still tiring, right? As
Yes,
you've pointed out.
yes, yes.
Okay, so you come in my office, we have this conversation, and then the next thing that we have to do, we're Presbyterians, so we have a manner we have to proceed, right? We have to go and see what our elders, who are members of our congregation elected to this office to help us think through big
Hmm.
things like this,
Yes.
think, right?
Yeah.
And so our elders were very enthusiastic. They're excited about this decision. And
Yeah.
so that's where we're at now. So as you begin to look forward and think about, here's what I'm going to miss in teaching,
Hmm.
and then here's what I'm excited about in
Yeah.
full time ministry. Talk about that.
Sure. So several things that I will miss. Number one, the daily interaction with the students.
Mm.
I love uh, goofing around with them, but also kind of Proverbs and Ecclesiastes esque of just helping them think about their Christian worldview and
Mm.
what it looks like to live in a world that has a different worldview,
Hmm.
and how to cling to what's good, true, and beautiful,
Hmm.
and then also say no and push aside
Mm.
that which detracts from those things. So that'll be a tough thing. I'll miss my colleagues.
Mm.
Sort of back to one of the things why I also was really excited, and the Lord opened the door um, to come work here with you, is because you and I can have really deep spiritual, philosophical, cultural conversations, and my colleagues at school are like that,
Yeah.
and it's really great. And I miss that, at my other church where I was for 13 and a half years. We just didn't have that camaraderie,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, and so that's fun.
Yes.
And I'll miss that with a lot of my colleagues, but I've got that with you,
That's right.
and I got that with Jana, and so it's a wonderful, wonderful thing. And um, I think I think though what I'm looking forward to is getting to know members of the congregation,
Mm.
being available to minister to them and their difficulties and their challenges,
Mm.
and not just see them on Sunday or Wednesday,
Mm.
but at other times as opportunity arises. I'm also looking forward to investing more in the children and the
Hmm.
youth of our church. There's quite a few of them when you write
Hmm.
it all down on paper, and so creating space for them
Hmm.
to get together, thinking through, and as we've been doing a little bit this spring, getting volunteers
Hmm.
equipped
Hmm.
to teach and minister to children and youth. So just to do that more full time. I'm
Yes.
excited
Yes.
about that.
I was yesterday. I was walking down the hallway after church, and I heard the sound of ping pong balls in the
Yes.
youth room, and I just went, Okay,
Yeah,
yes, that's good.
that
That's a
is good.
good
Yes,
sound, right?
yes,
And we
yes,
want more of that for sure.
absolutely.
So I'm excited about that too. Okay, I didn't tell you I was going to ask you this question.
Mm.
You have, as you've already mentioned, you've done full time associate pastor ministry before. And I don't want you, and I don't think you would, but I'm not asking you to say anything bad about your former experience. But as you've seen, whether in your own experience or with other churches and associate pastors,
Yeah.
what do churches and associates sometimes mess up in their relationship, in the way that that
Hmm.
position works out in the church? What have you seen go wrong? I mean, one of the things that you touched on this is a lot of times the relationship between senior
Yeah.
pastor and
Yeah.
associate is terrible.
Yes.
Lord willing, we're not
Right.
going to
Right.
go
Right. Right.
there.
Right. Right.
It
Yeah.
started pretty well, but other things. How else do churches and
Um,
associates get it wrong?
that's a great question. I just, I mean, if I can be honest, from my past experience, my biggest problem was that I would get in the way. um, and I hinted at it a little bit, but when I would see something difficult or a challenge or something
Mm,
going on in the church, I would try to fix it, right? And sometimes, would have success in doing that or helping in a situation, but I started to get stretched too thin.
yeah, yeah,
And so maybe something that the church can tend to do is to let the pastors like overreach into areas, whereas Presbyterians, we believe in committees and an elder based leadership, that we're sharing the responsibility of
yes,
addressing
yes.
the ministry and the problems and the challenges in the church.
Hmm.
So I would say um, we could go wrong by thinking our pastors are going to do it all,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So a fix for that, for example, is our shepherding groups,
Hmm.
right, where we have our elders who are responsible for regular contact with our members,
Yes,
so that it's not just us as the pastors
yes,
who are having to shepherd and care for and keep up with what's going on. Now we're communicating,
yes.
and we know, I think, but it's not just you or I
No.
who are, trying to go to the hospital or trying to go, to the great, to minister to someone who's lost a loved one,
Hmm.
or to help in a crisis, whatever it is,
Yeah.
right? So I
Hmm.
think that's really important. And the church can often rely on its pastors too much, thinking
Yes.
that they're the problem solvers or they're the ones who need to do it all.
And I think we had a chili cook off here last night, and I saw a really healthy moment of this. One of our shepherding elders, who's just very gifted in this particular
Mm,
area, came up to both of us at different points during the night and said, "Hey, I just want you to know that this is going on with one
yes,
of our
yes,
congregants." And he communicated it in a way that was like, "I've already ministered to this person,
yes,
but I want you guys to know,"
yes,
right?
yes,
He wanted us in the loop,
yes,
but he also wanted us to know I've already been sort of the front line
yes,
person to this, and
yes,
so I agree that
yeah,
that makes me feel when those moments happen, both in the loop in a good way. I
mm,
know how to pray for somebody or help if needed, but
mhm,
also I don't feel like the entire weight of that person's care is on
yes,
me alone,
yes,
and
yes,
that's
yes,
very healthy,
yeah,
right?
that
So
is
I think our elders do that well.
absolutely. And I'd say one other thing, and I say this out of some experience, but also out of a lot of hearing about it, is you and I are not, um, we are not Paul and Apollos, right?
That's right.
We are not people who you don't pick a favorite between us. Now you may get along better with one of us,
Sure.
but um, I'm not a fan, and I know you're not a fan of like, hey, let's create parties in the church. There's John's party and there's my party, or John didn't listen to me. I'm gonna go do this, right?
That's
Or
what my
what?
kids do, by the
Right.
way.
Well, that right. It's like mom and dad, right?
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
I'll go
yeah.
to mom. Well, and now I may refer you if you come to me and you've got something frustrating. I may refer you to John because you ultimately made a decision. But I'm going to do my best never to disparage you
Hmm.
in front of
Hmm.
them, or
Yep,
likewise. I
that's
hope
right.
you won't me either. But
Yep.
also, I think churches and individuals in churches, and even leadership can create these factions.
Yes.
And factions are, they're not good for churches.
No.
Obviously, they're not good for society. They're not good for government. But
Nope.
So just because there are now going to be 2 pastors here on staff, it doesn't mean that we are, we're not here for personal leverage or to get our ways. We want, you and I in the session want to be humble and submissive to the Holy Spirit, like the bride, like a wife of Christ, in this local expression, and do things together, do things with a sort of a unanimous, this is how we should move forward.
Yes.
And so I would say, the dynamic of having another full-time pastor that could arise.
Yes.
And I'm going to pray a lot that those things don't happen, and do my best to squash it if I catch wind of it. And I hope y'all will too, that if somebody starts to, talk poorly or to say, well, I prefer this or that, I'd say, just say, no, we're not going to do that. We're not going to play those games.
We're not playing that game.
Come talk to us if you've got a difficult situation, or you've been offended in some way by something that we've done, because of course
when you're
going,
offended by something that we've done,
because of course we're going to. And we hope to keep short accounts with each other, with our elders, with the whole congregation.
I think it's good because, I mean, I've got 2 3-year-olds, and they very quickly learned the art of, Dad tells me no, let me go ask Mom, or vice versa. And we all do this, right? All of us do this.
Yeah.
But I think you're right that what I would want our congregation to know is that I'm not here to make much of John, or you're not here to make much of Nate, or vice versa. Our entire staff, pastors, staff, elders, what all of us want to do is make much of Jesus.
That's right.
Okay. And to anything that gets in the way of that is going to get, it needs to go away.
That's right.
Right. And so, look, if whatever manifestation this takes, I mean, you and I share a lot of we have similar opinions about a lot of things, church-wise. I'm sure there are differences. But when those arise, our effort is going to be to look, this does not need to get in the way of making much of Jesus.
That's right. That's right.
Anything that detracts from that is, we're going to try to get it out of the way. And I'm with you. I hope our congregation will treat it the same way.
Yes.
Look, you're going to prefer one of our preaching styles to another. And by the way, your neighbor in the pew is going to have the opposite opinion, right?
Absolutely.
That's how this is going to go.
Yes.
And that's okay. That's why there's more than one of us, right?
That's right.
So, we hope that this will be, all told, just something that increases our ability as a church to worship, to make much of Jesus, and to get the gospel out. That's it. That's what this is about.
Absolutely.
All right, last question, and we'll wrap it up. You've talked about a lot of things. How can our church be praying for you and supporting you as you, by the way, we haven't said this. So our hope is, we've got one more polity thing to do. Our congregation here has to approve this finally. But Lord willing, when that happens, you'll start on July 1st. That's the plan. You'll be here full time. So in the next, 4 months, how can our church be praying for you and supporting you and your family as you move from 2 jobs and teaching to here full time?
Thank you. First, and this is a phrase I picked up from some good friends when they went off to be missionaries at my previous church, and they said, pray that we'll say goodbye well. So pray that I'll say goodbye well to the folks at Westminster. Of course, my daughter will still be there next year, and I'll be very, very much a part of that. I'll do the youth thing there, go take Chick-fil-A to my daughter and other students that are here at Westminster who go to church here. So that's good, but to just, it's going to be different. The second thing, real practical, that I would leave my classes and their curriculum and everything ready to go to whoever takes over for me. I had that blessing, and so I want to bless someone with that, to make their job easier, whoever takes my classes. I think the third thing is that in July, so I won't be teaching. I'll finish at the end of May. Have a month to sort of get things at home. Probably move some stuff up here to the church. So just that transition would be restful, productive, and also go visit some family.
Yeah,
So
it's good.
yeah, that would just be a nice little break after 8 years of full-time work at Westminster before I
Yes.
jump in here.
Yes,
So.
very good. Well, guys, y'all now have something to pray for Nate and for our church. So again, we'll be having a congregational meeting about this soon on March 1st, I believe. So we're looking forward to that. It's going to be another day to celebrate and
Yes.
look forward to what the Lord is going to do. So if you've got questions, if you've got thoughts, as Nate said, if you're thinking about, okay, how do I interact now with two full-time pastors, all that, we'd love to talk to you.
Sure.
But our whole leadership team here at the church is excited and
Yes.
believe it's going to be a blessing
Amen.
for really for the kingdom here in Memphis. That's what we've done this for. So
Absolutely.
we'll talk to you guys soon.